boy. Aloha is aloha. Like and subscribe too.
Ready for action. Oof! I need a weapon.
Lord Vader. How's it? Hang loose. Welcome to Mongoose Max Hawaii. The channel. Hang loose. Got a little idea of what I'm going to talk about today. What? Today's Monday. I thought I might have to go to see the doctor because it was good, but then I woke up and it was okay. So I'm not going to go to the doctor because I got a procedure coming up. My mom's got multiple procedures coming up. So it's going to be, it's the beginning of, oh God, I hope nothing else goes wrong. And it's going to be a rainy week. A rainy week. Okay. I was looking at some ghost stuff. You know a ghost box? You got a radio, right? Radio? Hello. Radio. And it scans through the radio signals, and you're supposed to pick up little blips. And it's supposed to talk to you, little blips, and it scans all the. So there's a guy that actually does this too. This is like you're doing it by hand. You just take an AM FM radio. Okay. Well, we'll do that before we get copyrighted on a song. But you get it to where it's staticky, right? And let's check for ghost talking. Huge. About that fast. War. Yeah. So you can see how kind of random read into it critique there is there. But I thought it was going to be more fun than that. Just want to introduce you to one of the ancient Hawaiians had many gods, so it's polytheism, and it has a big Polynesia, so all of the Pacific roots and stuff. This is one of the gods. Well, this is this is a plastic tiki from days gone by, a long time tourism, a long time ago. This is there's an actual one, and this looks pretty similar to it. This is Kukaili Moku, and the operative name there is the root name Ku, K-U. Kukaili. See, doesn't look happy. Because Ku is strength and all this, and Kukaili Moku, you got pretty much the god of war. This is the warriors, or the war behind the warriors, in a sense. Now, before you get to the false idols thing, that's a different thing. And there's actually a Hawaiian princess. She was a queen. But anyways, this Hawaiian royalty lady that at one point outlawed a lot of the old worship because Christianity was coming in. Blah blah. There's a lot behind that. But you weren't supposed to worship the old gods even if you're Hawaiian, and no more voodoo with the kahuna too. You can't pray people to death with the kahuna. None of that stuff was all taboo or forbidden. Kapu. See, tabu, South Pacific. Kapu, North Pacific. Kapu, forbidden. Let me say that again. Forbidden. Since today I picked up the newspaper, and today it is like this. Here's to see the thing. See the paper. It says community alert after violent attacks. These ain't shark attacks. Thumbnail, thank you for your patience. But what happens here is it struck me. I mean, there's a thing in Ukraine I was going to say something about, but the U.S. is supporting. But the death of the Aloha spirit, a little right after Mayday is Lady. And I got extra views because I had my shout out to my brother in there. So thanks. If you watch the next day, but the very next day, the death of Aloha spirit. The Aloha spirit is a kind of a new concept in a sense. It's kind of been fleshed out in a modern way. There's aloha, the essence of aloha, goodbye, hello, goodbye, and I love you, all at the same time. It's like a real bonding, like you never have to say goodbye, love kind of thing. And that's really a truer definition. But then there's aloha spirit, where it's kind of an altruistic kindness and friendliness. And the tourist industry has really relied on that for a lot of their tourism attraction. So it's big money. Aloha is money. It's been corporatized in a sense in the tourist industry. But culturally, as far as all the people that live in Hawaii, because you live in an island, we don't have earthquakes. No, we do have earthquakes. Did you feel that? Can you? I feel the earth move. And then there's a volcano going, and then there's a tsunami because it happened right over there, and we're all gone. No, but everyone lives tightly packed together on an island. And so it behooves everyone to forcibly fit a community living and acceptance of living together. It goes all the way back to the plantation days. That's where you get pigeon coming from, and the evil taskmaster was Howley. Oh, Howley taskmaster. Kind of like almost worse than the plantation days, but I'm not going to make it definite. I'm just saying it's like that. I'm not saying it's not like that. It is like that. It's like plantation days and landowner just working the fields and all that. And there was different racial groups that had to live together, and they had the common the taskmaster kind of, and then developed a way of communication. And then like sort of right after that, it's all these different racial groups, and there was a lot of racism in Hawaii, but people in Hawaii lived together. So it's kind of like, buck, kind of thing, the Chinese guy. And everyone would make fun of everyone. So it had an equalization, much like you see depicted in, what is it? That Grand Theft Auto. That's a different story. El Camino, the Clint Eastwood movie, and he goes to the barber shop. Hey, what you doing, you old stupid Nick? What you doing, you dumb? And they're just insulting each other, but they're like close as brothers. And that's how it was for a while living in Hawaii. And when I was younger, there was still that, and there was some other thing. There was a divide, Howley divide. There is, the military. Oh, the military, they come stole a land, and they had this all the wrong history brained into them. So local people, a lot of times we just call them mokes. So we had a name, moke, local, moke. Hey, moke, it's like the freaking moke come beat me up. Oh, you're just a freaking Howley. That's why he beat you up, because you're Howley. I experienced some of that in middle school. Yeah, middle school. Beaten up because I was white. And it's not everyone. It's a smaller group of ignoramus. The little tough guy in 7th grade, little tough guy in 8th grade. But some of these get to be into adulthood, and there is a thing against the military and effing Howley and that, and it kind of springs out of that military, the old lore. Why are Hawaiian people Hawaiian? Oh, we're so impoverished because of them. And then the youth, yeah, get them. But it really isn't that, but it spurns from that. See, because what I'm talking about now is crime. That's right, crime, dog. I mean, when I was at USC for a little while. I was at USC for kind of a while, but then I was at a local Catholic school here. I'm not going to name names because it's good to be anonymous. 12 steps. I love this Catholic school here, and their major thing, I said I wanted to be anthropology. They said sociology. I'm going to give her sociology, but the sociology program, I got a sociology degree. It's heavily focused on criminology. That's right. They made cops out of their school. They churned them out. Well, the kind that become detectives and such. And so it was, I could have went down the road and became I would have been a good homicide detective. Because I had just an ironclad gut because I was from biology and I could dissect things. Hello, Jeffrey Dahmer. And this is right when profiling was new too, so the movies came out, how to profile the psycho killer, get into the mind of the psycho killer, and they made a lot of movies. But the homicide detective, I watch Columbo, I can do that. No, I had the stomach for it, and it was the smarts too. Believe it or not, Mongoose Max Hawaii, kind smart, eh? Akamai. Just act stupid for fun. And because I have no friends. No, I have friends. I have good friends. So, when I looked at all that criminology, I was not going to be about it. But it still lingers on, the study. Because how can someone be that violent? That violent stuff. And it doesn't make sense, a lot of times. I mean, like when you're a kid, though, it's like tough guy, and then it makes sense. And so it brings me to our today's thing. Oh, at the time. But this is today's headline, all blank. Community on alert after violent attack. Now, this couple from Washington State. Notice, look at me. I'm down below. I'm so invisible. Too invisible. Okay, these guys, right, got attacked. Here, just let me read this. I'm sorry if this comes out long, but this is important. They're killing off the Aloha spirit. And these young punks, let's just go Clint on them. These young punks are really going to be the target of the state government, which means eventually the police department. They're their own thing, their own freaking gang themselves. But then the businesses of Waikiki. So, have you ever gone like mob? Okay, how do you get punk gangs not to bother you? Well, you call in some favors from the local mobsters. The mob. And if you don't think the mob exists in Hawaii, oh God. Some people are kind of wannabe mob. I think the mob nowadays is more, they've transformed into Guido the Hitman, or stuff them in the trunk and feed them to the sharks. They had stuff like that. But instead of that, or back in, oh, you don't want to go ancient Hawaiian. Oh no, kukailimoku. But there's some bad stuff gone down. But the mob nowadays, I think, is more business. So if you're kind of in with a lot of money in business, you probably don't realize that you're actually connected up. So it's not Guido and Hitman and stuff like that anymore. But this is the tourist industry, and they are going to be against this. Back in the day, in the mainland, and I've talked to people, hey, you just call in some favors from the mob. And one guy was KKK, because he was from the South, and when he was having trouble with people in Texas, he'd call up his buddies in the KKK. I mean, this is from the 50s, 60s, 70s. And those things remain. They just come to your aid, like just your support group. Kind of prison rules, except it's community. Just let me go back here. See, sociology is a blessing and a curse. Let's look at this article for a second. Allison Schaefer's Community on Alert. Waikiki is on the edge of 3 violent attacks in 3 weeks. The most recent befalling a visitor in the heart of the state's top tourist district. Noah Cataram. I hope that whatever. 24-year-old from Tacoma, Washington, reported he was attacked viciously around midnight, April 3rd, that he was hospitalized for 2 days, treated for fractures to the skull, spine, back, ribs, and ass. He said his beating took place sometimes after catamaran, was pickpocketed coming out of Kelly O'Neill's Bar and Grill on Lures for the first morning of his vacation. He was taken to the Queens Medical Center. He was discovered unconscious, covered in blood, in a Waikiki parking lot. Thieves maxed out his credit cards, created confusion when they FaceTimed his girlfriend, Shannon, whose flight to Oahu came in later than his. Her first stop in Hawaii was Queens, where she was told to extend their Oahu trip since Catamaran's injuries were so severe he could not immediately fly. He was discharged and they made a rental on the North Shore. They went rental on the North Shore because they were too scared to be in here. You know something? I know that place. Lures is like a side street. There's Kalakaua, Kohio, and Lures connects them, right? Perpendicular, like an H. And Kalakaua on the ocean side, Makai. And halfway through Lures is this bar place. And there's a little alley, right? There's like a little alley to this municipal parking lot. There's Lures Street, there's a sidewalk, and then there's this bar. It used to be Moose McGillicuddy's. I went there. I used to go out to the bars at night in Waikiki. You go to Waikiki at night, oh man. Yeah, you might as well wear like, but you know, if you're like going out to the bars, you're getting drunk, it's like, yeah, danger is my middle name. But these attacks, you know, are coming on, and they're coming from, I got encounters. I'm not going to go there. But it's a Waikiki nightlife. When the guy was coming out of what used to be Moose McGillicuddy's, it's all these Irish bars. You should get the Irish people. I have lots of Irish friends. I love the Irish. Get the old leprechaun and the shillelagh shade going on, you know. See, you've been messing with my customers. Bill the Butcher. Oh God. So they come out, 2 other couples. So this guy was brutally beaten. Girlfriend comes, and now he's with his girlfriend. I don't understand this, but this other person was attacked. There's 2 couples also had ties to the military. Herder was attacked by at least 3 groups of young men who came from separate directions. They pickpocketed the purse. So the girls, the cheeks, when attacked the girl, not a cheek. So the chick's on cheek, and then the guys attacked the guy. This assault, part of the military going, hey man, off base and everything. Oh man, I don't think people realize how painful it is, because when you get whacked, it's hard for the cops to do anything unless they actually catch the guy. There was one guy that was a shooting, but the guy knew the guy and they caught the guy. But if it's just like these, pandemic, I can't vaping is going to be illegal soon. I can't vape. I got to use my crystal meth. They go to crack. There's drugs to the max. And then they get addicted to the drugs. They don't have the source to buy their next fix. They go robbing. So robbing is very prevalent. And they go rob the tourists. That's the big bright idea. You got an idea? We'll go rob the tourists. So they come from all over the island and rob tourists. And they got this violent thing going on. This guy's like, quote, this businessman. I've been in Waikiki 40 years. I've never seen it this bad. Not limited to Lures and Kalakaua, but the 96815 zip code, Waikiki zip code, well, right near this area where it used to be Moose McGillicuddy's. 100% of the homicides, 33% of the robberies, and nearly 28% of the 18 sex crimes. This Lures Street area is nasty right now. I mean, this is like they went down there. The attacks are happening from up and down the streets. The motive isn't robbery. Sometimes it's violence. They just take anything from the couple. They blame the bars, but we need more police presence. So what they want to do is this weed and seed thing. But look at this question. You know, I mean this quote. This is the tourist mecca of America. How are you almost killed in the streets? Herta said. How can this happen? I mean, exactly. How does this happen? They have a program called Weed and Seed. Takes care of everything, baby. Oh yeah, right on. No, Weed and Seed is the cops go in and weed out the criminals and they try to seed it with better businesses. Weed and Seed is the answer for killing off Aloha spirit from the police point of view. So anyways, they want Weed and Seed to help, but right now, the Aloha spirit is not dead. It's there. You might say it's dead when you're trying to drive on the freeway, but it's out there, and people in the community really value this way of life, the Aloha, live Aloha. They really value it. So these few criminals that are doing this stuff, I mean, they might get weeded out by the community more than the cops. But still, I'm just saying, I don't know the solution, but the solution. Stop now. You talk too much. Okay, so that's it for today. Have a happy Monday. Kind dog, eh? Yeah, watch out for you. Watch out. Don't look vulnerable. So, fresh air. It's fresh water all week long. Rain on top of you. Oh, fresh aloha. Don't let aloha die. Fresh aloha. Fresh to you. Oh, okay, say bye-bye. Now go away. Bye. Bye.